Hi. First of all, a short acknowledgement. I just wanted to say that when this video is recorded, I'm here in the Bay Area, and with Jeffrey Thomas and the musicians of ABS and our incredible team, we've been making beautiful recordings of fantastic music for you, our audiences. And I want to say that we've missed you dearly throughout this past year, and we can't wait to reconnect with you. So this feels really great to be able to talk to you right now. So one thing that I've really gained this year, I believe, is my relationship with time has really improved. I'm most of the time a traveling musician, meaning I do have to be very strict with my time if I don't want to miss all the flights that I have. So it's one of those things that has been difficult to achieve and to sustain for a long time. So once, the pandemic started and all my flights got canceled, I discovered that now I can actually justify giving myself the time I need for me, for things that I love doing. And I really enjoyed actually being able to have a day when I'm just going to read today, or have a day when I discover a recipe and I decide, well, this is one thing that I never was able to do before. I'm just going to spend a day making this great food and enjoy it. I've also been lucky to be in Portland, Oregon, which is a very, very walkable city. So my partner and I have been taking these long walks in parks and neighborhoods that I was never able to actually experience before in the same way. And I discovered that there's a big difference between going out on a walk when you have half an hour and you just have to kind of finish it quickly, and going out on a walk knowing, well, look, I have all this time, so I'm not going to worry about, I'm just going to take my watch off and I'm just going to walk and see where that takes me. Another thing about walking, I guess, because that's been a big part of my life in the past year. I grew up in Sofia, Bulgaria, which is not a very big city. It's a little bit bigger than San Francisco, but it's very walkable, and public transit's good. So I never actually drove until I came to the States. So that's, it kind of reconnected me with who I am, being able to take those long walks in Portland. Of course, Portland also has some great parks that, a walk turns into a hike before you even know it. So that's been really great, and taking walks is one thing that I'm definitely going to try to keep post-pandemic, and to try to keep my relationship with time the way that it is now, where I just don't worry about it as much as I used to. I think that's being a very good stress reliever for me. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is reconnecting with another part of my roots. By having to go to Bulgaria for 2 months in the winter, I was actually there for work, but I enjoyed it very much because I always go there in the summer, and I quickly see my family, take a little vacation, and that's about it. So this year, despite of all the travel restrictions that made travel really difficult and unpleasant, and quarantining and all that, being able to spend time with my family at a different time of the year and doing Christmas with my family was one of the greatest things that I've experienced this year. And just doing all the traditions, Bulgarian traditions with traditional Bulgarian food, things like, the Christmas dinner has to have 13 meals or something like that, just 13 different dishes. Um, and then, you know, you say a prayer, you eat this, you know, traditional Bulgarian bread, you drink this traditional Bulgarian drink. It's something that, you know, I lived in the United States for 14 years, so I haven't actually experienced in quite a while. So that was a pretty great thing that I was able to kind of make the most of this year while, you know, still understanding that a lot of people didn't have the privilege to do what I was doing. So as some of you know, I grew up in Sofia, Bulgaria, and you know, it's in Eastern Europe. So there were all these tumultuous events in the late 80s, just as I was born, basically. So I grew up in a post-communist society, which, you know, besides from all the weird things about it, culturally, there were some good things about it that I was able to take full advantage of, like being able to go to a school that was basically just specializing in music. So I went to music school from age 11 actually, I think, to, you know, through high school. So I didn't have to practice on my own time. Practicing was something that I just had to do anyways. And I also was lucky to experience a lot of musical trainings and harmony, music theory, secondary piano, and all that, which I really actually enjoyed because it was just part of the curriculum. So then going to music school for undergrad and grad school was quite a bit easier. And of course I had to learn a language because I did all my undergrad and grad school in the United States. So, you know, getting comfortable with a foreign language took me a little bit, but was actually, you know, pretty fun and made for, it's probably one of the best things that's happened to me, generally speaking, being able to read everything that's in English, and there's so much. So yeah, I think growing up where I did has been very advantageous in certain ways for me. One thing I love about ABS is that all of our musicians are really special musicians, but also people. The relationships we have here are really truly special and interesting and different. And one thing I really love doing here is collaborating with my colleagues. I think this benefits me incredibly, and I find that somebody who does solo work, in a way you feel very alone, and you don't necessarily always have, you know, other people's views. And I find that playing with other people is one of the most enriching ways of gaining experience and of enjoying music. I love being told, you know, how about we do it in a different way, and I love being, you know, constructively criticized and getting something out of it, you know, finding a new way to create music so that it works for everybody involved. That's the kind of process that I've missed most, I think, during the last year. And that's the kind of process that I'm happy to say that we're able to have once again, where, you know, everybody is part of the group, everybody is part of the experience, everybody has an opinion that is valid. And that's one thing that, you know, making music is about putting all our valid opinions into one finished product. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about making music as a group and as an ensemble. To me, music is about being, I wouldn't say necessarily authentic, but about being as close as possible to what is intended by the composers and what we can figure out as being intended by composers. One of those things is, the first step we really just have to take is play on the instruments that they wrote music for. That's just step one. There's no getting around it. So that really stuck with me as one of the things that I decided this is what I want to do. Another reason why I chose to play Baroque violin was that, when playing, I discovered that the instrument really fit me in a way that the modern violin never really found the same. It felt like a continuation of my body. I know that's kind of a cliche that we all talk about your instrument being an extension of your body, but it really feels like that. So it has to do with repertoire, but also with the instrument itself. I've been playing other instruments that also feel very much right to play. Playing the violin kind of feels like, to me, something like learning a foreign language that's related to your language. Like, for example, I do speak some Italian, so when looking at French writing, I can almost always tell what part of the speech a certain word is. So that's the kind of thing that I would compare to learning a new instrument when you are pretty comfortable with one instrument already. It's also a very exciting endeavor, so I do enjoy to start a new adventure like that. In the past year, I actually got pretty comfortable with the harpsichord. I was looking to have an instrument in my house and was able to get some lessons, including from our own Corey Jameson, and get some head start on playing the harpsichord. So that was another thing that I did in the last year that I'm very much grateful for. So in a few moments you will hear me play a piece by Telemann. It's his Fantasia number 1 from his set of 12 Fantasias for solo violin without bass. And this piece is actually very nostalgic to me because it happens to be the very, very first piece I ever performed on Baroque violin. And it's somewhat of a tribute to my very first Baroque violin teacher, Stanley Ritchie, who this year is retiring as a distinguished professor of violin at Indiana University. Thank you, Stanley. So this piece is the first piece I ever played in a lesson for him, and I can just remember him handing me the music, which is a manuscript, handwritten, and at that moment I had never seen anything like that. So he handed me the music, and he handed me a Baroque violin and a bow, and was like, well, play this for me next time. And I just thought to myself, I hope I can read this. I hope I can tune my instrument, because that's not exactly, the same thing as tuning a modern violin. Because, first of all, I couldn't really keep the instrument on my neck very well without dropping it, because it's, no chin rest. So, this piece reminds me of all those beautiful moments. It's like a nostalgic thing that I find the music to be very nostalgic as well, and it just feels like the kind of nostalgia you have when you open up a book that you really love, and you're at page 1 and you know what happens next, but you still just love reading it, and you are getting ready to read the whole book all over again. So yeah, this piece is, besides the little nostalgia, I actually find it to be very, very happy, and it's the happy kind of nostalgia, and also lively, very interesting music, And I really love how Telemann makes it work. You know, it's just one page of music, but he makes, you know, a 4-movement piece, you know, very, very well structured work within this one page of music. So I hope you enjoy listening to this recording.